What's up, y'all, man? I'm here back in my favorite spot, Malacone. Again, the sun in my face. But this is my relaxed spot. This is my chill spot right here. But I want to make this video, man, just basically, I want to give y'all like some insight. Maybe it'll be something relatable or helpful to y'all in regards to basically my journey and how I got to where I am today. Because this just didn't happen overnight, right? So I kind of just want to break it down because I got to a point where I actually hit rock bottom. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get the life that I have now, and now even take it even further. So start back like 2021, right? So 2021, I was living in the United States. I had my job. I was working remotely at home, and I remember thinking like, man, there has to be something more to life, right? Has to be something more than just getting up, going to work, paying my bills, going to sleep. On the weekends, I'll go out, I'll hang out. I used to race cars, I street race, so on the weekends I'll go street racing with friends and stuff like that. But Monday comes around and it's back time for me to go back to work. So I was looking for something because I was like, man, I just feel like I can't get ahead. You know, I watched my parents and they worked all their life, right? They're in their 50s now and they're still working. And I just always in my heart, I always took it with me like, there has to be something where my family has to succeed and we break this like generational curse, right? To where everyone can just live free and do what they want to do, how they want to do it, when they want to do it. Everyone can just be financially free. Not just me personally, but for my family in general. Like I never lost sight of that goal. So with that being said, I started to do some research, right? Because I was looking at what I make, like as far as money, and I wanted to do something that basically would break that, how you say it, break that curse, break that circle, that cycle. That way we could all be free and just do something different. So I started researching different countries because at this point I had traveled all over the United States, right? I had been to Seattle, I had been to California, I've been to Florida, I've been to New Jersey, I've been to Louisiana, that's where I was born, I've been to Nebraska, Minnesota, Texas, Mississippi. I mean, I've been to a lot of places. And for me, I've always been one to just get up and go and travel. I didn't wait for anybody. I got my plan together and then I just got up and I just did it. Now, thinking about going out the country, I had to factor in the cost of living because I was like, man, just paying $1,200 a month and then I have a little bit left over for me to enjoy. Like there has to be an easier way to do this, right? And that was like my driving factor. So I started doing my research, looking at different countries. I wanted to go to a Spanish country because I knew some Spanish. I didn't know as much Spanish as I do now since I live in the country, but I wanted to do something to where I would be able to use my skills. And then also my color. So I didn't want to go to like Sweden or Norway or something like that where I just stood out. I wanted to be able to blend in. And I basically settled with Dominican Republic. After doing all my research, I decided to go to Dominican Republic. So I saved up about $3,000, $4,000. I sold my car and everything like that, and then I was out of there. I just shot out. Came down to Dominican Republic. I had my remote job still, and I thought, man, what if I could just keep my job, right? And just be able to have my income from US and then live here. Well, I bought like a box. It was a Wi-Fi. It was called Solus Wi-Fi internet box. And I took that with me so I can have international internet. And when I got to here, to Dominican Republic, hooked everything up, hooked the internet up, got a VPN, and it worked. I was able to log into all my systems and everything like that. Everything was working. I logged in and no one even thought about it, right? No one would second guess that I'm actually in a different country working. And I did that for a while, and I was like, man, this is it. You know what I'm saying? This is it. So I'm working, man. I'm getting paid. I'm going out. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm living in Airbnb here, Airbnb there. I'm buying this. I'm buying that. And I'm just like, man, I'm not worrying about it because you want to know what? At the end of the day, I know I'm about to get paid again. So even if I spend $1,000, right, I know I'm about to make another $1,000. After some time, I feel like they caught wind of that, and I ended up losing that job. So I lost that job, and I had nothing left over. I had no savings or nothing. So I ended up having to leave and go back to the United States. Now, in that time, I was spending so much money, man. I had an Airbnb in Santo Domingo, and then I had an actual apartment in San Francisco de Macorís. So I was paying for two places every single month. But I was making so much money, and the prices were so good, and I just didn't care, right? I just didn't care, so I just kept on doing it. Now, I got back to the United States, and I was just like, man, I failed. You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna work. What am I gonna do? How am I gonna go forward? And I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna fail again. So I tried it again, saved up some money. At the same time, I had met a girl, right? And she always wanted me to come live with her. So she was like, come live with me. You can come back and we can figure it out here. I'm like, okay. Saved up some money. Boom. I head out again. I'm back in Dominican Republic. I'm living with my girl now. Living with my girl now. I had some money saved up. And I was like, all right, I'm trying to make this work. I got to do something to make this work, right? So I started doing some odd jobs like Upwork and Fiverr and getting those gigs, right? So that way I can make some money. And that was actually doing good for me. I was doing gigs. I was making 400, 500, and some gigs that would take me like a week to complete. And then I was making money, you know, so it was good. But my uncle passed away. So my uncle passed away, and I ended up having to go back to the United States again. So I went back to the United States so I can get to the funeral and stuff like that. And when I got to the funeral and everything, I was with my family and whatnot. People were like, oh, I heard you, you know, talking about me being in Dominican Republic and everything like that. And I was like, yeah, you know, kind of talking to them about my experience and everything. And, man, after some time, all the money I had saved, I lost, right? I lost all that money, and I was just down at rock bottom again. I was like, dang, man, how am I going to get out of here? There has to be a way for me to get the heck up out of here, man, and to actually sustain myself and live in the Dominican Republic. So I was like, all right, you know what? This time, I'm not going to fail. This time, I'm not going to fail. I'm going to see it all the way through, and I'm going to do this right. I'm going to come up with a business idea. I'm going to start a business, be successful this time. I'm going to be the one in my family that's going to be the first one outside of the country, living internationally, and that's successful, right? That has a house and that has money, and if the family wants to come to a vacation, they got me here, and they can come here, and they can just live in paradise and enjoy this, right? And enjoy this with me. So I was like, all right. So I got me a job, and I ended up working for FedEx. So it was FedEx, and the only thing I was doing is I was loading the trucks of the boxes, right? After I load the boxes in the truck, then I was out. So it was a part-time job. It's not something that I was doing every single day for 8 hours a day, and I wasn't even getting paid that much either. I was getting paid like $10 an hour. So with that $10 an hour, I was just like, man, that's not going to be enough. I'm trying to get out of here quick. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be here for that long. I want to be able to move around and get the heck up out of here fast. I was like, all right, I got to find me another job, something that's going to pay me more money so I can get out of here faster. So I ended up getting a job opportunity at a clinic. So I got a job opportunity at a clinic, and this clinic was paying me $18 an hour. Now at this clinic, what it was is I was a sexual reproductive manager assistant. So basically, my day would consist of taking information of people who come in and got tested for STDs, right? So they'll come in and they'll get tested for STDs and HIV. And I would take that information and I record it and I would put it in the system. Sometimes I go outside of the city, and it'll just be people in like areas that have had hard times. They're in rehab centers and then I would give them information on STDs, on HIV, hepatitis, and stuff like that, and then I would test them. So I would test them and everything like that, give them the information, and I would actually test them for HIV. Some people will be positive, you know, there'll be people who would, you know, do drugs, have a history of drugs, alcohol, maybe homosexuality, you know, things that people are more prone to be exposed to that type of disease or viruses, right? So I did that for a couple months, maybe like 3 months. I couldn't take it no more. I was like, I can't do this. But I was still searching in that time, and I actually ended up running across another opportunity. And this opportunity was for me to work as a territory sales manager for a phone company. So I was overseeing 3 different locations, and it was a sales job. So I took it, but before I took it, I had to think about it because it was a sales position, and there was a lot of responsibility. So if the sales, I didn't make the sales, right? If I didn't make the sales each month, I was going to be in jeopardy of actually losing my job. So that was a big thing, and it was a lot of responsibility. But you want to know what? The pay was good. It was like $20 an hour plus commission. So I could potentially make up to like $65,000 to $70,000 a year if I could make $1,000 extra each month on commission, which I was able to do. So I took this job, and I worked that job for about 6 months, saving up money. Some checks, I would put everything in my bank account, and I wouldn't even touch it. And then on top of that, I would even donate plasma. And then I would leave that on the card for even extra money, right? So that way I could save up and get the heck up out of there. Ended up saving all of that money. And then I bought me a ticket, and I got out of there again. So now I'm in Dominican Republic again. And with this money, I saved up about $10,000. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a rental car business. So I bought me a car, set up a rental car business. I'm on Google Maps and everything. If you type in Harrison Rent Car, then you'll see me pop up in Santo Domingo Este on the Avenida España. I was set up. I was ready to go. And it didn't work out. Now, in the rental car business, there's a lot of competition, right? So there's people here with money that can get cars that are 2020, 2022, 2023. And you know what I'm saying? It's hard to compete with those people because they can get so much nicer cars. My little $10,000 wasn't enough to really get me in the game to compete with them people. So I wasn't able to actually make the income that I needed to survive on. So at this time I'm living with my girl. She's working too. And you know, she's working just a regular Dominican job. So it's not like she's making a lot of money. So me trying to put myself in a position to be a breadwinner and actually make money, I didn't want her to stress out over trying to pay rent, you know. And I had so much money, which is fine. I had $10,000, so I wasn't worrying about it. But I needed something that was going to be able to sustain me. I needed income. And what was happening was the rental car business wasn't giving me income. I was just losing money that I had saved, trying to invest it in business ideas. So with the rental car business, that didn't work. So I decided, okay, I'm going to flip cars. So I sold this rental car that I bought so I could try to flip it, and I gained money. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to do it again. I bought a Hyundai Sonata. There was a cat down there. So I bought a Hyundai Sonata, and I bought it for $235,000 pesos. Put some money into it, air conditioning, struts, shocks, you know what I'm saying, tires, brakes, stuff like that to get it up in tip-top shape, and then I sold it. Made a profit. I sold it for $270,000. So $270,000, so I made a profit on that. But what was going on is when I'm flipping these cars, right, the money that I'm actually making, within the time that I'm making this money or waiting for that sale to go through, I'm not actually gaining anything because I have to spend money within that time period. So I'm spending money within that time period, but when I make the sale, it's like I'm back at square one, so I wasn't going anywhere. And I did this with 3 different cars, right? With 3 different cars. So I was like, okay, this is not working. And the last car I bought, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to buy a car for me. So I ended up buying me an Acura Integra. It was a black one. So I bought that car, right? And I was like, man, this is going to be for me. I'm going to make this work and everything like that. Long story short, that car, man, that I bought, that car had a corrupt title. So I couldn't even put the car in my name. So I had a car that I couldn't even put in my name. And if I wanted to sell it, I couldn't even sell it for a good price to get my money back on it because the person couldn't put it in their name anymore. I sold that car so I can get some money at this point. And when I sold that car, I was lost. I was at a loss, man, because I lost a lot of money. I was down to like my last $1,000. I was like, dang. And then more time going on, trying to figure out some kind of moves and stuff like that for me to do. And I ran out of money. So the only person who was working at this point was my woman. She was the only one who had a source of income. I didn't have any income. and the only thing that she was making was about not even $200 a month. So we were struggling, and I was trying to find ways that I would be able to make money for us. So throughout this search of just trying to find ways for me to make money, I ran across YouTube channels. I always look at YouTube channels, but I never looked at it as like a source of income. So I seen that people were actually making money off of this. So I'm like, okay, when I had bought the cars, I had started a YouTube channel here in Dominican Republic. When I started the YouTube channel, basically I would put the camera in the car, and every time that I travel somewhere, I would just record the entire trip. The entire trip, I just recorded it, and I would post it on YouTube. Now, that YouTube channel actually was generating views, and it was getting me subscribers. Now, at this time, I wasn't paying attention to that YouTube channel, right? But I was looking at it like, man, that's crazy that I posted this and I didn't even think about it. I didn't care about it, and it's getting me views and it's getting me subscribers. So I was like, okay, I've seen people doing YouTube and they're generating income, and then even some people have businesses attached to their YouTube channels. So I took that in mind, and I'm like, okay, this is the idea I'm gonna go with, and this is what I'm sticking with, right? Because I have to generate some income. So I started doing YouTube videos. It started off shaky, but eventually I started getting views. And then on top of that, I started offering services like travel services. So people who are trying to come in, they want to look for an apartment or Airbnb, what place to go, what's a good neighborhood, etc., etc. I was offering consultations, and I was making income off of that before I even got monetized on YouTube. So I was looking at it like, dang, why didn't I think of this before? But you want to know what? Within that whole time, right, I was getting the experience of the country. Even then, I was working on the internet, trying to find ways to make money. And then I was doing all these other things, even in the States, building my portfolio, my resume. So I have experience in a lot of things that now, as far as customer service, as far as just intelligence of being able to research things, as far as my experience here in the Dominican Republic, right? Back in the city now, like being in the city, being in Santo Domingo, being in San Francisco, being in Santiago. So I'm able to offer something to somebody that I can monetize. And then in the future, I'll be able to monetize a YouTube channel and actually make income as well. And that was the main goal, trying to have multiple streams of income so that way I can make it. And now I can say that I'm doing much better, but it was a long road. Now, basically, this is just saying, like, if y'all have, like, the feeling that y'all want to move, it's not easy. And maybe for some people it is, if they have the correct plan and they execute it correctly. But it's not easy. But at the same time, you gotta account for things that might happen unexpectedly. Now, I've enjoyed my time that I was here. And I wish when I first got here, I didn't make some mistakes that I did make, because I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in. I made so much money. I made $100,000 since I've been living here. When I had my job working from home, and I don't have any of that. Everything that I'm making now is what I have to spend, right? So my mistake was thinking that that job was going to last forever, and not thinking ahead and not saying, okay, I got this job, let me put money back, so if I do lose it, I'm going to have this amount of money sitting around that now I can still do whatever I want to do, even if I don't have a job anymore. That was that mindset I had to break out of. It was a mindset of like, okay, I don't want to work a 9 to 5 anymore, right? And at first my mindset was, I'm going to work a 9 to 5, but I'm going to live in Dominican Republic. Now my mindset is, I don't need a 9 to 5. I can make money other ways and still sustain myself. So if you're looking at coming to Dominican Republic and living here and actually doing it full time, actually being an expat and staying here, planning yourself here, a word of advice is don't think too much about trying to keep a 9 to 5 job in the States. Come up with different ways to make money while you're here so you don't have to actually depend on an employer in the States, because anything can happen and you can lose that job. If you do have that job and you do come here, put that money back for a super rainy day, for a hurricane or something, because when that job is gone, you want to make sure you still have money to do what it is that you want to do. That was my mistake. but I learned from it. And now with those mistakes, I'm able to assist people so they don't make those same mistakes. I would love for more and more people to come to Dominican Republic from the United States and choose this place as a place for them to live and thrive and build and grow and contribute to the community, because it's possible, because I'm already doing it. I'm contributing to my community here, and I'm also contributing to my community in the United States because I'm providing valuable information that they'll be able to use to solidify themselves like I'm solidified here. I don't have to go back. I don't have to work a 9 to 5, and I'm still here, right? I want the same thing for everybody. In the future, I want to be able to have my family come and visit, go to the beaches, see the country, retire my mom, retire my dad, you know, have my brother here, have my sister here, have my kids here, and just live a life of happiness, you know, out of the craziness of what's the United States and the politics and everything that's going on there. But that was like my main thing. So if you're feeling like you want to move, don't think so much about trying to keep a 9 to 5 job from the United States, right? There's other ways that you can make money that you don't have to be dependent on the United States. There's other ways for you to make money. Even if you don't have a job or work from home, if you plan yourself with the right amount of money and you have the right idea, things that are proven to work, and you learn from the faults and the failures of others so you don't make the same mistakes, then you can have much more success out here. But literally, that's like a 0 to where I'm at now. That's a 0 from where I'm at now, because I didn't just get here and then, you know what I'm saying, it was progression. I had to leave and I had to come back. But for some people, if they're not on a retirement plan or getting a pension or something, then they're going to be focused on trying to get income. And that's like one of the main things you want to make sure you have, right? If you're going to be here and you're going to sustain yourself. But you guys can do this. Look at this.